the Super Bowl they were in with the Bears in '85, they went through a tough stretch, from '86 to '87 to '94, or '93, whenever Parcells, came to New England. But and with Mr. Kraft taking over the ownership in '94, it started back getting going the right direction.
Yeah, I know the Patriots began to rise in '93 when Parcells was hired as the head coach, and of course they had drafted Drew Bledsoe. Tell me about your first impressions of Coach.
My first impression was, now that's a guy I knew, obviously from being a fan as a kid and knowing about the Giants winning the Super Bowls, and he was pretty popular by that time as being a hard-nosed, disciplined coach. And I think my first conversation with him was on the phone on draft day after they drafted me, and I was just happy as all get out just to be going anywhere. But I think knowing his, and I'd heard about his, he had coached Phil McConkey at New York. Had some background being at West Point in his coaching career, so I think he appreciated military guys, and the whole discipline part. For me, it was a seamless transition going from a place like Navy to a place like the Patriots, because they expected the same things. They expected you on time. For everything, like if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. That's kind of the way they felt. And the whole just hard-nosed, disciplined, just do your job. That whole attitude was just kind of right in line with how I had been trained to that point. So I really did. And plus, the other thing is, not coming from a big-time college, I was just happy to be free, so to speak, and not having to run around saluting people. Mm-hmm. Whereas other guys that came from like Florida State or Michigan or all that, they had facilities that were, beyond my wildest college dreams. And so I think there was also some seamless transition on that part too. I didn't have any high expectations of where I came from or anything like that. So everything was just kept on getting better for me, I guess.
I got to tell you, I used to do some Navy games on radio when I was back in Washington, D.C. broadcasting. The thing I always remember about doing those games in Annapolis is that you had to get in that elevator going up to the top in the press box on Friday to get there in time to do the broadcast on Saturday.
Oh, really? I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, but there was an atmosphere there that I have never seen replicated anywhere else in college football, and maybe you can help me with it. I suppose the Army-Navy game certainly is reflective of that, but tell me about the atmosphere for a Saturday afternoon game for a Navy game.
It's pretty good, but here's the thing. Back when I was playing there, we didn't win a lot of games. So, yeah, there was good atmosphere there, but, at the start of a game, when you're usually being in the military, flyovers were pretty common. I think, being in a military school, we were just happy to be not on campus, on Saturday, and being able to go out and do something like play a game was great for us. I think it's a lot. I've been to games down there since I've been out, and especially since they've had so much success there in the last decade or so, and have experienced that atmosphere as a fan, and it is. The atmosphere there is pretty good, even when you're not winning. But now that they're winning, it's just it's electric there. The support of the Brigade of Midshipmen is there now. It's just like it's just like anywhere else, though. When you're losing.